I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales, brought to you by Mountain Way Auto Transport. Today, we are joined by a person who makes a difference every day, the David Difference, part of the Las Vegas wrestling scene. You can hear him weekly on K-Dawn Radio. He's part of the team of the Mark Hoke Show, breaking down the week that was in pro wrestling. And he's actively involved in FSW Future Stars of Wrestling that you can see on the FSW Network and Fight TV. And then also as a branding expert. David, thanks for stepping in the ring with us here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, man. Oh, what a difference that Dave makes. And hopefully I can make a difference here today. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, I want to talk about something that I think we have in common because we both see the parallels between sales and wrestling, the branding that goes into it, how you have to develop your own character. And I wanted to play a quick clip from a guest that we just had on recently, and one of the ladies that Wrestling with Sales sponsored their match here at Central States Wrestling in Kansas City. The Heartbreak Core herself, Shazza Mckenzie, fresh from Australia to Missouri, but she was also just up in Las Vegas last week. She competed in one of the shows supporting AEW's Double or Nothing. Here's her talk about how selling is a integral part of wrestling.
I always tell people, like, to bring it back to the sales thing, I always tell people wrestling is so hard because you're selling a product and the product you're selling is yourself,
Sure.
Which is like, so like I have a sales background myself. So I like,
okay.
So I worked in the fitness industry for many, many years.
Okay.
So I worked in sales in the fitness industry. So I always brought it back to that as well when I come to what we're doing in the ring and how we're presenting ourselves, because the whole job is to sell the crowd on you. It's to sell the person running the show on you, and
Sure.
Sell everyone on the fact that you're the attraction that's going to bring people that people want to see, and that you're worth whatever amount of money you're being paid, and you're worth whatever it is that you're asking for. And like, that's your sales. That's what you're doing.
I just thought she really summed it up terrific there.
100%. They say life is a pitch and then they buy, and I truly believe that. Like, I think that, always be selling, always be closing, always be selling. And selling yourself is huge, not only, in the wrestling business, which I think that is the number one quality you got to have some salesmanship, but just in life as a whole, you're always selling and creating that brand and, your character in life. You don't have to be in a movie or in a ring to, create a character that wins, at the game of life. So I believe that is dope. She's on par. She's with us on that one.
Yeah. And I know you're heavily involved in helping people do branding. And I think it is so important, because when you're getting into some sort of sales, I say you need to be a sales entertainer, not a sports entertainer, a sales entertainer, because product tends to be irrelevant. We talk mostly with car sales, but this is true in finance. It's true in really just about any kind of sales. If you're a hotel sales and you're selling convention space, I mean, there's not a huge difference between Resorts World and Paris. There's not a big difference between New York Life and Northwestern Mutual. There's not a big difference between a Honda or a Toyota. But a lot of times it's the interaction with the person that's presenting it that makes the difference. And I think that's a lot of what you talk about with people, isn't it, David? Just making that difference.
Yeah. It's all about making the difference. And I mean, that's where the David difference comes from. It's like, especially when I go to a company, it's like, I want to make a difference. I want to be different. I want to stand out. So, the beautiful thing about being a wrestling fan is, like, as a kid, is I love the characters. And I adapted that when I was in the music business. I created a character to sell my music. And then even when I came to Vegas, I worked for T-Mobile sales. I created the character D-Mobile. And that was my thing. Is like that the mayor of the mall, D-Mobile. I knew everybody at Boulevard Mall. And like, when people had I never had slow months because I was just that guy, but it was all persona. And like, I owe that to wrestling, like just pulling out that character, but being genuine, but turning it up a notch. And a lot of people think, oh, there's no cameras, what are you doing? Like, you're always entertaining or in front of somebody that, can watch that show and enjoy it. But yeah, it's definitely turning that character up and understanding that, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but that you're a brand. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you are a brand. Like if you're on social media, you're a brand. If you're walking into a job interview, you're a brand. So what is your brand? Are you going to stand out? Are you going to be memorable? Or are you just going to be basic and fall into the crowd? And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, because that is a huge
You there? You
difference.
froze up on.
Oh, no, I'm there. Can you see me? That's a huge difference because if you're at a dealership,
Okay.
say you're at a dealership, it could be anywhere. You're at a dealership in Oklahoma City and you're one of 20 salespeople.
Mhm.
Well, if your interaction with the customer that you sold the car to is one email a week after they buy the car saying, "Hey, how's the car doing? Is everything good?" That person comes back to the dealership 3.5 years later. If you're still there, what obligation does that customer have to remember you?
Right.
I mean, it's a good
Yeah.
question to ask yourself if you're selling cars, because if you're not interacting with them, if you're not creating something that makes you unique, their responsibility to remember you is nothing because you've given them nothing to remember.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. Like one of my most profitable sales tactics was everybody's a client, and that's one of the things. So I deal with from restaurants and things of that nature. Is
Hmm.
you get a lot of Uber drivers or like DoorDash coming in, and it's like, here's the food, go. I'm like, that's a potential client. Like everybody
Sure.
that came in, like the UPS guy, he may buy a year from now, but I'm going to become his friend. And when he needs to get a cell phone or if he needs to buy a car, he's coming to see David, his friend.
Yeah.
So it's like just not thinking, we're so, as salespeople, we're always looking for the now, but it's like you're nurturing those. So that's why there's no down period if you got that, that stock of customers or relationships that you have built in the past, and just always be on it, and it's not like the direct sale. It's just building that relationship. So when it comes time to buy, you're top of mind because you're their guy.
Sure.
And that's how I've handled sales in every aspect, whether it's closing a client, I'll pop in every once in a while until they need something. And when they do, like, they're going to go with David because, they know I'm their guy for that. So, and I think people need to understand that. Like they see, like going back to the DoorDash thing, like I said, they'll let them come and go. And I had to explain to them, if they're DoorDashing here, most likely they live in this area. They're repeat customers. Then you gotta, give them a spiff or something. They're gonna come back, get them to do some Google reviews for you, and give them 50% off every time they come in, or a punch card or something.
Sure.
It's like everybody is a potential client. Everybody eat pizza and burgers.
Yeah.
So don't ignore them, man. So I had to go undercover once to see how they treated people, and I realized the majority of restaurants ignore the drivers, and they're missing out on a huge opportunity, for that sale.
Oh, very true. Yeah. If you don't take everybody as a potential customer, you're really
Right.
making a huge mistake at your own, at your own peril. Hey, I just want to take a quick break and then we'll get into how you got involved in pro wrestling too. Hey, as a dealer, you spend a lot of time buying cars at auction. If you're using Edge Pipeline to manage your purchases, then this is big news. Montway Auto Transport's partnered with Auction Edge to add a transportation option onto Edge Pipeline. Now dealers can manage their auction buys and book transportation with just one click. That's it, one, right in the Edge Pipeline platform. As a nationwide leader in auto transport, Montway understands a dealer's need for speed and efficiency and can arrange single or multi-vehicle moves from the auction to any lot in the country. With Montway's technology, dealers can gain full transit visibility and tracking after an order's been booked, making it much easier to manage inventory. Buy, ship, and track all at Edge Pipeline. Go to www.montway.com/WS to learn more. Turn those no's in the spirit of wrestling into yes, 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 because you can get everything transported right there with just one click. It's that easy with Edge Pipeline. Now, hey, back in with the David difference. So, what got you involved in professional wrestling? What really put the wrestling into the wrestling with sales for you?
Are we talking about what got me into wrestling as a kid, or
Oh,
like
both.
into the
Sure.
wrestling business?
Yeah, sure. Go all the way back as a kid. What got you involved, and then what got you
Yeah,
integrated into
I'll
the
take.
pro wrestling business?
Well, it's interesting. I'm gonna give my older brother who I don't even talk to, credit for this. When we were younger, he's a year older. And I remember my parents let him stay up an hour later. And next morning he came to me and he said, I seen Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik for the title. And I said, who's Hulk Hogan? Oh man, he's the greatest wrestler ever. It just excited me. So I had to find out who Hogan was, and I started watching wrestling, and there you have it. Fast forward years later, my brother lives out here, and he asked me to move out to Las Vegas. He's like, there's a wrestling company down the street from my house. You need to connect with them. And somehow I went to a show and met Joe, and just kind of clicked from there. I used to be a sponsor for FSW for my real estate business, and then just kind of built up that relationship and started adding value. So that's kind of my tie-in from that was my first love, man. And I'm falling back in love with all this stuff that's going on. It's like, as wrestling fans, sometimes you pull back and it's like, I ain't watched it in a while when I got into music. But yeah, it's like I'm on it now. So it's good times.
Well, and with the growth of FSW, with Impact now coming up into their 20th year, Billy Corrigan restarting the NWA, New Japan being involved in America, and I think AEW definitely upending the wrestling industry, really. I mean, they went from being a startup 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago at the MGM Grand Pool, I believe, in Las Vegas was the initial press conference, to now just having had a pay-per-view in Las Vegas and really being the headline of a whole week of wrestling cards. It was utterly unexpected, and I don't think anyone saw that coming a few years ago.
Yeah, there was definitely something special from the start. Like you could sense if anybody could do it, you would think it was them. They had a lot of star power behind them, and obviously their business model, and they had a lot of cues from other companies. But I think that when the time is right, you put it together and things just start to fall into place. And it is what it is now, and I think it's just gonna keep getting bigger. I hear a lot of negative feedback, but I guess that's just normal in wrestling. The fans gotta hate something. So right. But yeah, I think
the only thing more popular than positive wrestling talk online is negative wrestling talk.
Right. And it might be vice or flip that around. Who knows? But either way, it's wrestling talk, and that's part of the business. We all love it. So in some form of, even if we say we hate certain stuff, But
besides being on the Mark Hoke show, talking about some pro wrestling, what do you do to help out around FSW? What are some of your roles?
So initially I came in and, I do a consulting business that growth strategies for business and sales and branding and marketing. And that was one of the things, and I'm not a hard salesperson. Like I said, I build relationships, and then, and the whole time I'm scanning what could be, different here, what could add some value. And that was kind of the things, is like pitched the whole restructuring of how do you formulate this wrestling promotion into a wrestling company, that strives and runs like a business. So you got different departments, from your merchandise to your concessions to your school, and you put that all together, as reports and everything of that nature, to actually run a business that you could see how you're growing year after year. And so it was just coming in with that mindset, and then obviously doing a lot of the behind the scenes and like interviews with the talents, but then started doing merch. Like last year or 2 years ago, I started doing a merchandise company. So I was doing hats and shirts and hoodies, and I told Joe, I'm gonna start putting together some merch for this company. He was like, whatever. People say a lot of things, and I just started doing it. And yeah, it's been a good thing. So it just adds another prong onto, the bottom line of that company and helps them grow. So anything, like, I love being at front of the house, greeting, as we talk about sales, again, it's so many new people come in that the first question I ask is, have you been here before? And if they haven't, I tell one of the students, like, take them in, show them where everything's at, make them feel welcome. A lot of times I'll give the kids a free shirt or something, just so they feel like it was a special thing, so they can come back. But I love conversing with them and, making new family members. Even that, it's like when you talk about branding, it's like FSW, we're not fans, it's a fam. So I mean, the pro wrestling's greatest faction, the fam. We started selling those shirts, and it's been a beautiful thing. So any little crazy idea, Joe will say whatever,
Yeah.
I'll do it, and then he'll either like it or he won't. He usually won't like it, and then he'll okay.
Now, where do people find the FSW merchandise? Is it on
So
futurestarswrestling.com or Pro Wrestling
um,
Tees?
so we're setting up an online shop for that, but one of the things, like, we used to do a lot of print on demand, and you know a lot of times, especially with merch, it's that point of sale. Like when people are leaving, they just saw a
Hmm.
great show. It's like, oh yeah, let me get an FSW shirt, and having it there is like very important. So if you come down to the arena, we got stuff on stock. I'm working on new stuff for the 14th anniversary, and we're building an online store. But I love just interacting with the customers and seeing them
Sure.
come in and purchase stuff firsthand. But yeah, FSW Vegas, we're working on the shop right now to do that directly.
And for people watching this in other areas, you can go and just search FSW, Future Stars of Wrestling. You can find the FSW network. You can download the app. And if you're a member of Fight Plus, you can see
Mhm.
plenty of FSW material right there. And you're going to see some great wrestlers. Just some of the alumni from FSW in recent years. You've seen TJP in FSW shows, Danny Limelight, the current United Wrestling Network heavyweight champion, part of FSW, No Limits champion in FSW. You can see Karrion Kross on WWE.
Mhm.
He was a champion in FSW. Solo Sikoa, before the
Yep.
name change, was a big part of Future Stars of Wrestling. And Zoe Starks. And I'm sure I'm leaving some FSW alumni out, but those are just
Chris,
some,
Chris,
just right off the
Chris,
top of my
Chris
head.
Bay, Chris Bay, Jay
Yeah.
Vidal, you know, Brian Cage just stopped by the other day. Like, yeah, so much talent came out of FSW. Like, it is just crazy. And you ask, like, what's that magic sauce? And I got to say, there's so many good trainers, great trainers that know the business at FSW, but also it's the individuals. I don't know, maybe it's something in that Las Vegas water or something that we keep
Yeah.
drinking out. But yeah, there's some good stuff happening out here, man. It's exciting.
Well, yeah, no, I just had a chance to speak with Joseph DeFalco III and D'Lo Brown for the show that they ran at the FSW Arena just this past week. Go
Yes,
for
sir.
broke with Second Gen Pro, talking about that next generation of wrestlers. And D'Lo was talking about the growth in Las Vegas wrestling, and it really has been a rapid growth because there really wasn't even a regular promotion running all the time before FSW started, was there?
No, yeah. So, well, there was what was his name? Cowboy, or the crazy guy.
Yeah.
Was running. He had the car dealerships, but yeah, it slips my mind at the moment. But yeah, so he was running shows previous to that, and like a little sketchy. They did a Dark Side of the Ring on him. And then Joe kind of I think he had worked with him for a little bit, and then kicked off the business and decided to. And since then, like, obviously everybody came through FSW. I don't care if they have a promotion now. They were in FSW at some point and maybe decided to do their own thing, but it was definitely the jump off. And like, it's beautiful to see that growth because everybody gets an opportunity, right? Like, there's more opportunities for the different talent
Hmm.
to go out there. And like working at a company, sometimes things don't always work out, and then where do you
Yeah.
go after that? And it's like, it gives people a chance to move around and get that exposure and make different fans. So yeah, Las Vegas wrestling scene, no pun intended. Las Vegas. Shout out to my guy Ryan Ronovich too.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, like what he's doing is amazing because, like, especially like a weekend like we just had, Memorial Day weekend. You go to LasVegasWrestlingScene.com, bang, there's everything. Like,
See everything broken down. Yeah.
map out your whole week. So yeah, that's like just everything's coming together. And like you said, with the growing wrestling scene, that's definitely needed. So I just think everybody coming together, the wrestling community collective, is a beautiful thing out here.
Oh, and it definitely is a community because something that definitely stands out to me hosting the LVWS Confidential, Las Vegas Wrestling Scene Confidential show. It's FSW is the big one that you notice on
Mm-hmm.
a national basis, but you have Versus Pro Studio, you have Dark Arts, you have Pride Style, Grap House, Big Valley. An independent wrestler in Las Vegas in 1 week can get as many matches in as most independent wrestlers across the country can get in a month. and
Oh
they
yeah.
may have to travel hundreds of miles to get those matches in a month. Whereas in Las Vegas, they can do it in one city. It's really an amazing growth in the wrestling scene with all the different promotions all being active and being able to keep going and have that consistent, regular support and following. And they each have their area and they each have a little bit of a different style. It's really great to see.
No, it's definitely beautiful. And not only just Vegas, like we get a lot of people come from California, Arizona, like,
Hmm.
Chris Bay came from, I don't remember where he's from, but they come out here because they hear about it, and there's so much opportunity when it comes to wrestling. I was just talking to a guy from the Bay Area. He came out just to help set up the ring if we needed it, and was like, I just want to get on the show. And he just made his debut a month ago. Like,
Okay.
he's gonna be next level. But you get a lot of people that just come out here at Las Vegas, that there's opportunities out here. And I think that is just a beautiful thing for the industry, and all the talent is trying to make those dreams come true, man.
Yeah. And then, hey, just to kind of wind it down, going to the championship
Mhm.
round here on Wrestling with Sales, we're talking with the David Difference about what you need to
Yes.
do to brand yourself. How do you make a difference? So, what would be your biggest piece of advice for somebody in sales to make a difference?
Well, so I say it's number one, building relationships with people, but you have to stand out, right? I mean, being authentic is key, but understanding that you are a brand, like we talked about earlier, like you got to
Hmm.
understand that. If you look at me like beloved, that means beloved means David. I got David Difference hats. Like everything I do is my brand, is like, and I represent that. Just finding your uniqueness and letting that shine and letting that come across to people so you stand out in the pack, but understanding everything you do, every move you make, every interview you do, everything that comes out of your mouth is part of your brand. So it's got to be on point, it's got to be calculated, and you got to represent it, to the best of your ability. I don't care if you're in the gutter, that's your brand. You
Yeah.
might want to turn that around. Call me, I'll help you consult out of there. But yeah, just understanding that you are your brand, you represent your brand every day, all day. So live the best life with integrity. you know
No, it's a great lesson. Yeah, every customer, every time.
Yeah, no, definitely. Everybody, and it's not just like we want to just sell people, but it's even like relationships, friendship. When I first met Mark, I was like, who's this guy? Then you guys start to build, you start to see, the relationship building. And, I've been talking to him so much about building this brand. I came in, was like, yeah, I want to do a wrestling radio show. Let's go. But this logo's got to go. And,
Hmm.
this look's got to go. And let me switch this up. And he's like, I trust you, go with it. And so we're forming a whole new look. And it takes a while to catch on, and even with us, I'm like, we got to build up our character so people get used to us, and we'll start to get our format down. And I think that's with anything. If you're at a new
Sure.
job, it's like getting down your cadence to what you're doing, building your character so then clients know what to expect when they come in and they come see you, not just to buy, but because of your energy and your vibes, your advice or your friendliness, whatever it is, just understand you're always a brand.
Oh, that's great. And I think there's something to be said too for building your format. Now, obviously, in radio, and we've both done radio, you do
Mhm.
have a strict format, you're hitting time clocks. But in sales, you really do kind of want to have a format too, because you should go into the opportunity with a good plan for what you're going to do. Because if you're not guessing and scrambling to think about what your next move is,
Right.
you're able to actively listen to your customer. You're going to get better answers. So for all the salespeople out there that look at a script and go, "Oh, I don't need a script. I don't have to do that. I don't have to have a sheet to tell me what questions to ask." The reason you have it is so you can really listen and then you can be creative. Because if you just
Oh,
go in and just totally wing it, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to skip steps. And by trying to not be controlled, you're going to make the mistakes where if you're controlled, then you have the ability to ad lib. And I think you
yeah.
see that in wrestling too, because you don't let somebody start by doing a 450 Phoenix splash. They start by doing a headlock takeover.
Right, right. And I think it's key. So that, yeah, you go into a sales job, right? They give you a script. There's it. And I used to always be like, I ain't doing no script. I got this magic. But I think it's the training, right? The sales
Hmm.
trainers, they need to explain, like, you're just going to get, like you said, you got to get your format down. then make it your own. A lot of trainers don't do that. They say, here's the script, follow the script, go. It's like, get the script down so you got your bullet points and you know what direction you're going, but make it your own magic. And that's when you become unique. That's when you become different, and that's when you make a difference.
Absolutely. And then, hey, just kind of wrapping it up. What's coming up next in Las Vegas? What's going to be the next place you'll see the David difference? I know there's a big FSW show coming up.
Yeah, we got a huge FSW show coming up on Father's Day, June 18th at the Silverton Casino. It is our 14th year anniversary. Time flies when you're having fun. But that is going to be a gigantic stacked card. We haven't been to the Silverton since before COVID popped off, and we just got back in. So we're excited about that. June 18th, Father's Day. Come on down. It's going to be an amazing time. I don't know what I'll be doing in there, but I'll be enjoying it. Well, it's Father's Day, so I'm kick back, have a couple beers or something.
Sure. And that
Right.
show that's available on Fight TV.
That'll be on Fight Plus as well. Yeah, and then tickets are available at FSW Vegas. If you're in Las Vegas, come see that. But the card is stacked. I mean, Danny Limelight is going against Bodie Young Prodigy for the No Limits Championship. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Like that. Wow. I don't know. Look, that's a huge opportunity for that kid.
Yeah.
And Danny Limelight definitely ain't no slouch. So I don't know. I mean, that's the match I want to see right now.
Oh, it's a great match. The radioactive Poppy taking on the 15-year-old.
Right.
If you haven't seen Bodie Young Prodigy, he is just that. He's 15 years old, and he's out there wrestling against some of the best in the world. So definitely an entertaining act to see and a difference.
Yeah,
and that's the key, right? In professional wrestling, you need to make the difference. You want people to remember you.
Amen. That's the difference. That's what it's all about. You get me. You understand.
Absolutely. Well, hey,
Yeah.
thanks a lot for joining us. And
Appreciate
again, you can hear David every week with Mark Hoke on KDAWN. If you're in the Las Vegas area, anywhere else, you can check it out on Odyssey.com. Just search for the Mark Hoke Show. Hear a little pro wrestling talk, national and local. So definitely of interest to anybody in the country if you're a wrestling fan. And until the next time we step into the sales ring here, thanks for joining us on Wrestling with Sales.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks.